Hey everybody, it's Jeff back with another weekly installment of the most interesting coin auctions. These aren't necessarily the ones I've sold for the most, but have the most interesting backstory. And I also like to include how they've compared to the most recent comps. Are they going up in value or down in value? So let's jump right into it. Starting with the market pulse, I want to bring back the PCGS 3000 index, which they created at least a handful of decades ago to essentially recreate a stock market for rare coins. So obviously the assumption here is every mint state 65 Morgan dollar is created equally, which we know is not correct. But it's an interesting index to watch. I think it fairly represents the trend in rare coin prices, but the percent returns are just way off. As you can see here, I mean, I think it correctly reflected that from really middle of 2014 all the way to early 2020, the rare coin market was in a bit of a downtrend and struggled for a while. It's reflected down 21% here. Now, I would say, to be fair, it's difficult to truly say it was all down 21% because so much of the PCGS price guide was inflated. It was considered high retail for a long time. Almost every coin sold for below PCGS price guide unless it was a super toner, and even those didn't sell for many more than a one or two multiple of it. So a lot of air had to be taken out. Now that I think we've gotten more to the correct values, reflecting this recent run up in coin prices is just 3% higher is honestly wrong. If you've watched these videos at all, and even throughout this video, I will show you that they're up anywhere from a conservative 5% to maybe even 25 or 30% for some series, and certain coins are selling extremely well. So I said, okay, well, what about they also break it out into kind of little subsectors? So they have one on the Morgan and Peace Dollar Index. I thought maybe they would better reflect that Morgans are up, call it 10 to 15 or even 20% from their lows. But again, it's only up 2%, just seems wrong. But I think the key takeaway here is how much more we could run. Maybe coins really are dramatically undervalued, and obviously we're well off the lows, but could we continue much higher to even get back to where we were back in 2014? So looking at the first auction and keeping with this theme of a somewhat of a falling market, I wanted to include a coin that's actually gone down in value. And this is the 43S Mint State 68 Steel Cent. It's a one-year type. Obviously, there's a Philly, Denver, and San Francisco, all in 1943. And it's somewhat of a commodity without toning. A lot of these kind of look similar. Now, this does not have a CAC sticker, so maybe it is deserved to have a little lower price. I know probably a third of them have CAC stickers. This does not. As you can see, there's 122 in the grade with 5 higher. I mean, it's super high grade with a $4,250 PCGS price guide. But this one sold for just $1,897, which obviously is well below the PCGS price guide. But to even compare it to its recent comps, which are, I wanted to take non-CAC stickered PCGS Mint State 68, of course, the 43S. And as you can see, they've been trading from about 2,500 to 2,360. And this one down at 1896 is down 20%. So just maybe I'd keep your eye out on these steel cents if you like them and maybe are seeking out some bargains. This is one of the few series that are actually going down in value. Looking at the second auction, this I found interesting. It's the Double Die Obverse 1955, clearly one of the most popular collector coins in the hobby, one of the most well-known outside the hobby. And they come up somewhat regularly. In a given month, you're probably at least able to buy one or two of these, if not more. So albeit they are rare, they're also extremely popular, and therefore they trade often. But it was interesting that we had two end on the exact same day. And as you can see, a Mint State 63 red brown with a CAC sticker and a very nice 63 red brown, in my opinion. So well deserving of the CAC. I notice there is that black mark right there, kind of at the 3 o'clock mark in the field, but still very nice for a 63. And then a 64 brown. So it's interesting. I kind of wondered, okay, what would sell more? I mean, 64 is a point higher, but it's brown, not red brown. And the NGC coin is very nicely red. It's not barely red brown. It's right in the middle, I'd say. But the PCGS holders tend to be more popular for these high-end coins. So take a wild stab. Which one do you think sold for more? Well, if you said the 64 Brown, you'd be correct. That one sold for 4,725 versus 4434, which both of these are up considerably from their most recent comp. As you could see, it was back in February 19 to find a PCGS 64 Brown with a CAC sticker, and this was 26% higher than that. And the NGC had to go back to February 20, and I had to use a PCGS because it's rare to find NGC with a CAC sticker that have sold. So both of them are up in pretty good rate. Looking at the next auction, this was another interesting one, kind of comparing two coins that have come up for sale in the exact same time. As you can see, both are Proof 65 Cameos, 3-cent nickels. Not the most popular series, but they are nice, especially when you get a nice Proof Cameo. I've seen a few in hand, and they are really quite stunning. Why these are interesting is they actually both sold in November 2020 to the same person. And I know that because they say from the exact same registry set. So I thought that was interesting. They both sold November 2020. They came back up. Proof 3-cent nickels aren't the most popular. So my guess was these would probably trade for those values, if not lower. But obviously the general market is strong. So looking at where they actually ended up selling for, you can see they actually went up in value, 17% for this 1865 and 10%. So the person who bought these essentially made their money back when you account for taking out the buyer's premium, which for holding a coin for less than half a year, I mean, that wasn't a bad turn. So looking at this interesting coin, of course, if you threw a D mint mark on here, this would be one of the most valuable coins known to man, but it's a 1916 Philly and a 68 full band. Very nice coin. Ended up selling for $3,055. But why this is interesting is this exact coin sold on Great Collections on a single bid back in August for $5,062. And I want to bring this up because I see Great Collections on occasion, actually probably every week. They have coins that are clearly overpriced believe me, it's not Great Collections recommending that starting price. It is the seller. The seller says, I want to sell my coin for this price no matter what, and I'm not willing to budge. So it just gets listed, and very often those go unsold, and they get relisted again 2 weeks later, and then relisted and relisted until maybe it eventually sells. Well, this one finally caught someone, and that person bought it back in August of 2020 and ended up taking a 40% hit. So kind of word to the wise, be very wary of these kind of single bid auctions. If it's way overpriced, it probably will be very difficult to ever get even a fraction of your money back. This next auction, again, sticking with the theme of identical or very similar coins coming up for auction at the same time. This one I found interesting because as you can see, they're both 85 CC Morgan dollars and Mint State 67, both from NGC, but the one on the right has a CAC sticker. So right away you say, okay, well, the one on the right probably is worth a little more. As you can see, it has a smidge more of a proof-like look to it. It is a nicer coin. I've blown up the pictures. It definitely deserves a CAC sticker versus the other one, I guess, if you're comparing it that way. But at the end of the day, they are essentially identical grades. So it makes you wonder, how much more is the CAC sticker worth? And now, to pull a comparison, a Mint State 67 that sold in October 20, which did not have a CAC sticker, sold for $6,352. It was not one of these two coins. So take a wild guess at how much more you think this CAC sticker is worth. I think you'd be surprised. In the eyes of the market, it was worth essentially $2,300, which is kind of mind-boggling. Both sold well. As you can see, even the one on the left sold well beyond $1,000 more than most recent comp just back in October. So very strong in its own right, but a $9,600 final price for the one on the right was extremely impressive. Last coin. This absolute beauty is, I had to include at least one monster tone coin. As you can see here, I mean, this is the Booker T. Washington commemorative silver half. I don't know the commemorative series all that well, but when I saw this one, I mean, this was very interesting because the toning is really cool, and clearly PCGS called it legitimate. But I'll be honest, I almost have an inclination that if you send it in again, I'm kind of curious if they'd get a questionable color. I mean, it's just an interesting color scheme. So I've never seen this in all the monster tone coins I've looked at. That level of blue and red, or kind of, yeah, it's very interesting. Well, I could tell you CAC obviously did not approve it because they did not put a CAC sticker on it. I'm assuming it was sent to CAC, but I don't know for sure. But the market loved it because it sold for $7,020, which was 6.5x the PCGS value. So that's all I have today. Thank you for watching. Take care.